Hello, my name is Kurt, and today I'll be talking about Asian herbivore men and why I feel that they are intelligent and right in what they are doing. Now, this whole herbivore men thing is very new to me because I knew that Japanese population was on the decline for a long time already, but I never knew there was a specific term for it, such as herbivore men. Now, before I get into any of that stuff, I just want to say that in college I had this friend that was actually from Japan. He came from Japan to America and he was studying. It was a community college, but he was studying there anyway. And it was funny because all the women chased after him, and the population of my community college was mainly, I'd say a majority of it was Hispanic and African American, and the minorities were white and Asian. Very few Asian people, very few white people as well. Mainly, like I said, Hispanic and African American. So all the African American chicks, all the white chicks, all the Latina chicks were just chasing after this Asian kid because he was exotic to them. He was something, unfamiliar to them because he was pure Japanese. And then, he talked English really well, and he wrote and read and everything because in Japan they teach you all that stuff in grammar school and high school, so the English language is very prominent there. So I always ask them, like, you have all these chicks chasing after you. Why don't you sample the varieties, here in the USA? Because sooner or later you're probably going to go back to Japan or whatever you plan on doing, and you're just going to miss out on all the opportunities, and you'll go back to your home country where there's just a bunch of stuck-up Japanese women. And he said not so much that the women are stuck up there, it's just that, guys, including himself, have no interest in pursuing any sort of dating or any sort of repopulation. They don't want anything to do with that. And then I asked why, and he says mainly because, there's more stuff to dedicate your time to. You could study, you could learn a whole bunch of different things. You could, watch anime, watch hentai, play video games, all this stuff. You're not tied down and you're not restricted by the conventional means of a relationship. So you're free to do as you choose. And most Japanese women are just, they may seem very nice and oh yeah, they're the ideal wife material, but that's not necessarily true. That they're just, if you ask any Japanese woman, they're looking for a white male that comes from America or whatever, and they're all looking for status. They're all looking for pretty much the same thing Western women in the United States are looking for. Same exact thing. And as an alpha male, the whole mentality is to fuck as much as you possibly can. So if I was in that Asian kid's place, I would fuck as much as I possibly can and just move on with life. And the same thing if I were to go to Japan or Thailand, who the fuck would go to Japan, especially as a single male, and go to Japan or Thailand and just not do anything, It's paradise there. You fuck as much as you can. It's easy because you're a foreigner there, and they like white men and stuff like that. So moving on, we also got into the conversation of talking about anime and hentai and stuff like that, because I never understood the point of hentai and, anime Japanese sort of pornography and stuff like that. I was always mainly a regular type of dude, whatever's on top page of Bang Bros or whatever, So hentai really never tickled my fancy. But as I grow older now, I'm starting to branch out into different territories, because after you see escorts and Asian massage places, whatever, just all that stuff kind of grows stale, and you need something new. You need something, just something different, And he basically told me that hentai allows the user to have any fantasy and any fetish they ever dream of lived out in this sort of film type of thing, right? That's something that regular pornography does not allow you to do. Yeah, you could find, you know, chicks wearing cat ears, and like you could find some weird tentacle stuff, and yeah, you could find stuff like that, but it's just not the same thing. And another thing he told me is that the whole hentai thing is that um, it allows you to indulge in fantasies that are not realistic, so to speak, like the whole tentacle thing, and like the futanari and all this weird stuff that they have going on. And it's also the whole the whole hentai market, the whole business idea of it is very intelligent. It sort of zones in on certain customers and clients because of the storyline and how things branch out and all the fetishes. Because usually, you know, sort of herbivore men, they tend to be the most perverted, honestly. Like, that's just how it is, you know. Over time, the perversions grow, and you want new things and different things. And hentai, like I said, it zones in on that market, and it's a perfect business idea, because the whole storyline behind most of these hentais is that there's this beta sort of nerdy guy, and then he gets bestowed with some sort of, he eats something, or like he gets bestowed by some sort of magical power where his dick grows like 20 inches, and like he could like seduce any woman he lays eyes on and stuff like this. So it puts you in this wimpy beta male um, character, and then it turns sort of alpha, because then, you know, you have the ability to seduce and all this stuff, and it just definitely caters to that market, and it's a smart idea that these hentai writers and artists use. So yeah, anyway, it just, and he also said that all the fetishes and everything, but also that hentai and anime, like if you find any specific thing that you like, those specific females will never grow old, you know. They'll stay as cute and as nice as you always knew them, because they're animation. You know, they don't get old and wrinkly, and they don't hit the wall, and you know, it's just the idealistic fantasy world, basically. So once he kind of told me all that stuff, it just kind of makes sense. If you're living in, and he said in Japan we also have access to a lot of more different things. You know, you have massage places, and then you have other places where you pay, and Japanese schoolgirls like will hug you and stuff, and you could go to another place where you could have coffee with Japanese schoolgirls and stuff like that. And it's just a wide variety of things are acknowledged in that society, where it makes regular relationships not worth it most of the time, you know, because that relationship aspect is fulfilled when, for example, and this caters to women in Japanese society too, the guys go to this cafe, they have coffee with a super cute schoolgirl, and that's the whole relationship aspect, without all the pain and all the drama. And that's the same thing women do. They hire these dating dudes, whatever, these super attractive guys that pretend to be their boyfriend for the evening, and they party and they drink and they have good conversations, and you know, that's that. They don't have time for relationships or whatever, so they do it that way. And it makes sense, you know. To me, that's just the natural progression of society as technology increases. The more and more in-depth technology will get, I feel the more disconnected humans will become from other human beings. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, you know, because, you know, let's bring it back to the ancient times where surgeries were done where you drank like a bottle of whiskey, and they, you know, took a machete and like chopped your freaking arm off or something like that. Whereas now you have all these electronic lasers and these robots doing all the work and all this stuff. See, it makes sense. Why would you want to go back to those old ways? That's what I'm saying. Like, in my personal, just the way I feel is that, you know, going from this sort of beta male thing into the whole alpha male thing, it's just like, if I had the opportunity, it would be a lot easier and a lot better for me to just indulge in these technological things, like the whole VR and progression of VR. It's in the infant stages, but as it progresses, it's just going to get more and more awesome. And it's like, why the fuck would any man, like, so to speak, why would any man want to even leave his house when you have this whole virtual world where you could live out all your fantasies, all your fetishes? And I'm talking about when technology increases to the point where you could fully immerse yourself in this world. You could touch, you could feel, you could act upon anything. Like, it's just going to be a very advanced and mind-blowing thing, you know. So, you know, taking those VR or disconnecting yourself from the VR and going back into real world where it's like, oh, you know, back to eating ramen and back to you working the regular 9 to 5 and then dealing with coworkers and all this stuff. So I feel that society's going to progress, especially in Japan, to the point where robots are going to fulfill all the manual labor tasks and all the jobs, so to speak, and then just human society will be one of just all the survival things were pretty much obliterated a long time ago. Now it just relies on money. You know, you need money to support your shelter and all that stuff, but sooner or later I feel that all those needs will be fulfilled and humans will be allowed to indulge freely in any sort of thing that they want. And what else is there to do except, you know, bang and, like, you know, just enjoy the pleasures, you know what I'm saying? So I had this conversation with him a long time ago, but I decided to make this video readdressing this sort of stuff for the MGTOW point of view, because, like I said, a lot of men from the USA may look down on Japanese men as they say, oh, that's beta. Why the fuck would you do that? Get off the video games, get off this stuff, and start chasing women. Why? When you could just go to the local, you know, Japanese shop where they have like fucking 4 floors of just any type of fetish, you know, sexual devices and sex toys you may dream of in there. See, why would you deal with the whole relationship and all that stuff? Is that beta, or is that, you know, just taking the more rational way, without the struggle, without the trouble, without the drama, without the problems? So a lot of USA men look down upon that, but I see a population decline happening in the USA as well. But that's for another video entirely. But, you know, in my point of view, they're not beta. They may be beta in they're sort of like, oh, you know, like, they're considered beta by the media. But to me, they are sort of MGTOW, but a different version of MGTOW. Not necessarily super alpha or anything. Just like, you know, they're doing their own thing, and they don't give a shit about anything else, you know? It's time to transcend that. So, you know, who gives a fuck about this whole beta, alpha, whatever thing? Like me, in their place, I would try to fuck as many chicks as I can, you know, because they're probably easy there, you know? But if they like to do what they do, then so be it, you know? I do my own stuff here, you know? That's just how it rolls. Anyway, people, take care.